What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Blackout Night, and welcome back to War Thunder. In today's video, we're actually going to be taking a look at the M3 Lee. I played a few games on this. I do use a few other tanks. Obviously, I don't last too terribly long. But I wanted to showcase the fact that this tank is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. It's quickly starting to become one of my particularly favorite lower tier tanks, because let's be honest, the reserve tanks and the Americans are just terrible. And this tank, I was holding my own. I was holding my own pretty well. And you'll actually see coming up here fairly soon that it can do a lot of damage given the right circumstances. One thing that I don't particularly like, and this is very evident with multi-turreted tanks, as some of you may know. The aiming circle or aiming reticle, at least in arcade mode, because that's where it's at, doesn't follow the trajectory of your secondary gun. Only your main caliber. So in this case, the 37 on top of the turrets. As you can see, you'll see me fire the 75, and it just goes way low. So it means you got to really aim up and to the left. But if you can hit, perfect. They're going to be in a lot of pain. That shot just goes right into the ground. But what I really wanted to talk about was a lot of the misconceptions about the Lee as it being a bad tank. And in all actuality, in real life, it wasn't really a bad tank. It was kind of a quick solution to a growing problem. Obviously, the United States eventually made the M4 Sherman, which was a highly updated version of the M3 Lee. I mean, you look at the way the track layout is, the chassis, things like that. They are very similar. And I mean, a lot of the M series tanks, the lower numbered ones, and it was the M2 medium, so on and so forth. They're all just kind of steps leading up, to the Sherman. And that's very characteristic of American tanks, is they reuse a lot of stuff. You look at German tanks where they make a new tank entirely, completely different. No parts are really used again or reused or anything like that. And a lot of people would say that that's probably why they kind of failed. They couldn't keep their mind set on one particular design. And I think historians say that that's what the E series was intended to do. I don't believe any prototypes were actually built or anything like that. So like the E25, the E50, E75, and the E100. If that would have been the case, we could have been in a lot of trouble. Because, I mean, let's be honest, a 150 millimeter gun on an E100 would just devastate. Granted, they'd be slow as shit. But yeah, I was kind of just camping on that ridge, taking some long shots at some enemies there, and I realized that we only have one cap point. So I decided to move ahead and push up to B here. And that's kind of when things get interesting. When you think of the Lee, I mean, you don't really think of it having armor. But as I soon find out, that seems to be the case. It's actually pretty well sloped, and that plane just suicided there. Happens quite a bit. But yeah, I kind of come up on all these guys, and I'm just go, oh no, I'm gonna die here. I mean, that's how it always happens. Oh, wait a minute, did I just bounce a shot? What's going on here? And for some reason, my 75 would not fire when I tried to. And I realized it was because it was behind that little brick wall there, which is kind of an odd design. If you're behind a wall, or the gun is just slightly out of your line of sight, or out of its traverse trajectory, it won't fire. Which, I mean, is kind of smart. You don't want to plant a high explosive, 75 millimeter shell into the wall right in front of you and do damage to yourself. Of course, it also gets me into some trouble sometimes where I'm sitting there trying to fire the 75 for some reason, even though I know it's not looking. And I know this is going to be a problem with a lot of multi-turreted tanks, is you're going to keep trying to fire the gun that's not looking at the enemy. And it makes things interesting. But I mean, as you can see here, I'm just casually cruising along. I don't really have any damage done to my tank at all. And that's a little bit of a lip there. Too bad I couldn't get a little more air. Call this thing the General Lee. But yeah, I'm deciding to retake the cap here, and we are losing. But I figured that if I can, capture this, we might have a chance, and we keep all the, the other cap point and this one, and we'll be good. But I kind of start to wonder. I was like, okay, there's got to be people coming around this corner. Sure enough, I missed my first shot on that Stug, but he fires point blank range, and granted, his gun really only works at point blank range, and it didn't do anything to me. I plant one right through the front hatch and ruin his day. But then I noticed that there's a light tank hiding up on the hill. I'm not sure what he's doing up there, but I was kind of hoping I could knock out his driver and maybe have him coast down that hill, but yeah, you win some, you lose some. Now, if I had been paying attention to my map, I would have noticed that there's a lot of tanks coming up kind of behind me. And I'm very guilty of this, but I'm kind of an idiot, and I'm just going to keep sitting here facing forward, shooting at other tanks, and yeah, right there. I couldn't fire my 75, and I don't know why. I mean, I was aimed pretty much right at it, but I don't know. It's kind of strange. Got a really good shot on that guy, set him on fire. But yeah, no one's really contesting me in the cap, and unfortunately that's my downfall, because I look behind me, I got a teammate. If I would have been paying attention, that teammate didn't last very long. I think, no, it didn't set him on fire again. I could have swore I did, but that was a different thing. And I don't know what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get the gun to aim down, but then I realized, well, I got a 75 and I got machine guns, but I can't hit him. But finally, my loaders finally got hurt, and oh look, there he is. There's the guy that I should have been paying attention to on the map, but wasn't really doing that. And the one thing that the M3 Lee cannot do very well is turn. And reverse gear is abysmal. And sure enough, Panzer IV-C puts an end to my my little streak there, and that actually went into the 75mm gunner. And my teammate, I don't know if he notices, but anyways, I'm gonna hop into the M3 Light and just try to pester them, because even though we had that cap point for a while, we are still losing very badly. And I don't think we're gonna win this one. So I'm gonna try to even the scores a little bit, but there's no guarantee that I can really do anything. And of course, there's guys up on that hill trying to shoot everything that's moving, and I'm one of them. You can see shots coming in, and luckily they're missing, because the M3 Light has no armor. And I really don't know what the big difference between the M2 Light and the M3 Light is. I know the M3 Light is a little faster. I wonder if it's just the amount of machine guns that are on there, because the M2 has quite a few of them. The M2 Medium as well. That thing has got machine guns everywhere. It's the truly American way. And I almost drive into this artillery, not really paying attention, and I completely miss my shot on that guy, and I'm like, well, might as well drop artillery because the game's over. Wasn't fast enough to get up into the cap circle there, but I mean, what can you do? I was the only one besides my teammate that was there to do anything, and as you see, I did pretty good on the team. I was rocking in the M3, both M3s, mostly the Lee, but yeah, I'm gonna show another game here in just a second. Here, I'm just kind of going over my scores and stuff like that, and all that stuff. But yeah, here's another game. It starts off a little slow. Had just spawned and got on top of this hill, and the M3 Lee is not a long-range fighter. And, of course, what happens but my driver gets knocked out, or is knocked unconscious. So all I can do is sit on this hill and shoot with the 37mm gun, and I think I ended up setting somebody on fire. I think I set an M4 on fire, but that could have been a different game. I couldn't tell. But yeah, I see artillery's getting dropped in, and I'm trying to reverse, and if I would have learned from my last game, I would have realized that the M3 does not have a very good reverse gear. I'm doing a whopping -5 kilometers an hour in reverse, downhill. I could probably push it faster. I mean, okay. Anyways, yeah. So I decided to go back around this this hill here, and gonna do a little bit of a cheap move and not really spawn camp per se, but try to hit them on their way to the cap. You know, from the side. I get a little close to their spawn, and I get worried that, you know, if I get too close, they're gonna know where I'm at, you know, and be able to just shoot me from the side. Like, I don't like spawn camping. I think people that do it, you know, shouldn't. I guess I can't really think of a good reason why, but I mean, it's just stupid to do. It does look like that's what I'm doing, but personally, I'm actually going to, you know, hit them from the flank as they travel to the cap. I'm not aimed right at their spawn. I think maybe a couple times I have to address, you know, them aiming at me, so I have to turn to look towards where they're shooting from, but my intentions were not to wait for them to spawn and then shoot them in the face, or shoot them in the back, or the side, or whatever direction they're facing at the time. This was another interesting game. We had the cap for the majority of the game, and then we lost it, and then we got it back, and we lost it again. It really kind of just went up in the air as far as who could win, and I feel like once I died in the M3 Lee, that's when it really started to go downhill. You can see I'm being really cautious right now because I know I'm getting really close to their spawn point. And I was like, okay, they could spawn like on top of me at this point. And I don't want to get shot. But then I start seeing the enemies, and I was like, okay, they're too far away to really do anything, but yeah, might as well try. Yeah, those are definitely some long-range shots for this 37mm, but you know, I'll set someone on fire. I'm not complaining. I think that was the M4. I think that was the M4 that I set on fire. And I was hoping it was someone that just got the M4, so they didn't have a fire extinguisher, but I think they did, because I didn't really get any more points. And this is a really long shot, and I'm sitting there switching, you know, trying to get a better trajectory on for my 75, and they look like they could be going in, but I lose the smoke trail. I think I took out that tree. I don't think I noticed that right away, but I think I shot that tree down. You know, deforestation the American way. But yeah, trying to shoot all these guys at really long range, and I'm getting little hits on them. I mean, I'm doing stuff. I see that I'm hitting his fuel tank and stuff like that, and I'm trying to set him on fire, but I don't think I ever do for this guy in particular. Pretty good hit. But yeah, I mean, this is really about as far as I go. You know, I'm just sitting here just like, oh, I got targets right in front of me, like left and right. Might as well just, you know, take pot shots on them. But I start to receive return fire, and that's when I should have realized that I was not in a very good spot. I think this M22 Locust here catches my eye, and I go, well, maybe I should shoot at him. But those things are pretty quick. I think they were an airborne tank. I could have had him, but just couldn't aim very well, and I think... Yep, I'm starting to get some incoming fire coming at me, and he slows down, which is really good, and I plant a pretty good hit into him, but I think... Now, I don't recall who it was that killed me later in this game, but it was an M22 Locust. This Stug, I feel really bad for this Stug. Just spawned. And can't do a thing against me. I keep planting one. There goes his cannon branch. No, nothing with the 75, but he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna move up a little closer and see if I can hit him. But I don't think he realized that I'm sitting here just like, okay, I got perfect shots on you. You keep, showing me your side, showing me your weak points. I usually do fairly well on the Stug, but I do often make this mistake of, oh, the front of this thing is impenetrable. No, it's far from it, actually. There are a lot of tanks that can penetrate the front. And I'm mostly using the 37mm. And finally, I'm getting hit, but I think it's from the side. I set him on fire, and he's dead. And by the time I turn over and look, I'm just pretty much in a really bad position to, counterattack, do a counterattack against these tanks here. Luckily, I'm doing some damage on this guy, but yep, there we go. Panzer IIIJ. That's a pretty good gun, and you can see just how far that shell has to travel. It goes right through the flattest part of my front plate, and pretty much through, I think, my loader. And I think he got knocked out right after that. But right then is pretty much the turning point for this game in particular. I hop in the M3 light here, and I decide, well, I'm just gonna rush to the cap. I'm gonna try to recap it, and if I need to, I'll plant some artillery. And I do end up planting, I think, all 3 of my artillery strikes. Because I think there's like 4, maybe 5 enemy tanks in the cap. I don't think I hit one of them with all 3 of my artillery strikes. I'm pretty sure the shells landed in just the right spots not to do any damage to them. You'll see here very soon. But I'm pretty sure that the M22 Locust that I killed earlier, I don't know if it's a reserve tank or if it's a rank 1, I'm not entirely certain. But I'm pretty sure that there's another one, and I can't remember if it was the same guy or not, but if it was, I think he was looking for revenge for me basically spawn killing him. One thing that is very evident with American tanks, they don't turn very well, and they're very sluggish, so when you do turn, it takes a couple, half a second before the tank registers that you're turning. So I was getting a little squirrely on that bridge. I didn't want to ramp off the side and just be like, oh, well, this is great. I didn't think I was going to one-shot that guy, especially with a 37mm, and I was kind of shocked, but yeah, I'm heading over here to the cap because they're starting to recap it there. And I figured, oh, we got a few tanks up here. We got some guys here. We'll be fine. I wasn't expecting to be outflanked in this particular position because on the map there are a couple tanks that are just behind us. And I come over this hill and I go, oh, there's 3 guys there. Okay, I'm just going to light them up with machine guns. And here comes another one. So there's 4 guys. And this is when I start to realize, I'm like, okay, I'm doing damage, but I'm not really doing any critical damage. Oh, there we go. Knocked out his commander. And I think I take 1 hit. Took a hit from the tracks, from that artillery shell, but I take 1 shell, and that's when I go, okay, I need to drop artillery, right now. Just all right there. And finally I start backing up, and for a second I thought it was my artillery that was dropping on me. But it's actually, I didn't hear it at the time. They called artillery strike on us. And of course I get hit, and yeah, right there I thought that was my artillery, and I was like, oh, this is going to end very well for me. And sure enough, I hear a shell come in, I don't know what it's from, and before I can even turn, I look over. Okay, the M22 Locust. Alright, where did he come from? Never saw him. But, that's what happens when you don't pay attention to your map. And it kind of looked like he was doing a little victory dance there for getting revenge, possibly if it was the same person. I wasn't quite paying attention to the names. But anyways, I hop into my M2 medium here, and I'm going, okay, if that was the same guy, I'm going to go get revenge. Because at this point, I don't think there was any hope of us getting back. I was going to head to the cap initially, but then I think I spotted the M22 Locust, and that's when I thought, well, he's on my way. I might as well just finish him off, and I mean, you'll see what happens. And I don't think either of us were very happy with what happens. So I'm pretty sure it's just over this hill as I spot him as he's coming along the. Yeah, he's taking shots at me right now. And I go, oh, that sneaky little bastard. I thought I was going to throw my tracks in that, but luckily it didn't. But anyways, we're both aiming for each other, and that is the guy that killed me in the last one. And I knew he was going to be a pest if I didn't finish him off, and this water those physics kind of messed me up there. And if I would have been paying attention, I would have heard the bombs dropping. And I was like, well, I'll shoot this guy, I'll finish him real quick, and then, no, maybe not. Boom. Sure enough, B-25 Mitchell knocks out pretty much everybody. Just including his teammates. With that said, thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed this little showcase of the M3 Lee. I mean, there's not a whole lot special to it, but I like it, which is more than I can say for a lot of people. So thanks again, and have a good one.